Let's see, is that gonna work? Not really.
It's an insurance thing. I don't know if it's any port because it's pretty sort of deals.
This ain't gonna work. That might.
Jim? Richard.
And then last board meeting, when you weren't there, they gave us some merchandise. Yeah. I was sitting there with Richard and Ron Sharp.
Okay, that's a lot louder now. Yeah.
Bingo.
Everybody. Okay. Well, the first thing we're going to do, we have changed the way we fish. And we fished with the 40s, you know, and the 20s and the 6 for, well, since 1950. We changed last year. Now we're going to use 30, 15, and 5-foot leads. And we switched our shanks around. So now this shank here, we can still use the, you know, the 40, 20s, and 6 by just rotating this shank, turn it over, and we're all set for the dimensions from here to use, you know, the shorter leads. And why we did this is because we're getting old, and it's a lot easier pulling in shorter lines than it is longer lines. You don't give a fish a lot chance to get off. But of course, most of our fish, we don't lose too many fish like that because we use Eagle Claw laser sharp hooks. That we use, we change it, put on all our baits. Now those hooks catch everything. They catch your rain suits, and they catch everything. But they hold the fish a lot better than most hooks, especially in our treble hooks. We use maybe number 4s or number 6s, all depending on the size lure that we use. And this board here, and all these baits here, we can run all these baits hand lining. And we've done this anywhere. We've done it in Quebec, we've done it in Ontario, we've done it in Michigan. And besides that, we put a new bait on that we've been running lately. We run bandits when we're hand lining. So, especially when we run deep water, you know, 30 or 40 feet, you know, you don't worry about, a lot of the fish that we mark in Lake Erie are, you know, 3, 4 feet off the bottom. And we could run the bandits there. We'll run 2 bandits, you know, with 2 hooks on it, because that's legal in Canada. And it's just like when you get the fish on, you bring it in just like you hand line anything. Bring it in the same way and net it the same way. So it's a lot of fun when you get double headers on it. So, but anyway, the thing I was going to say, besides that, Mo, if anybody wants us to try hand lining, Mo just got 25 new A&S reels in, so he's ready to sell them for $299. That's what they cost now. So, but the sinkers we use on here all depends on the water we're fishing. The deeper the water, the heavier the sinks we use, and we do a lot of hand lining also in the lake. We have certain sinkers for that. We have 8-ounce sinkers, and we have, you know, even like 15-ounce sinkers that we use. And the secret of doing, but like I say, this here thing, a lot of guys don't know how to protect their fingers. We use a bicycle inner tube. Cut it off to the length that you want. Just enough to slide over your finger, and that finger, you could run that thing 2 or 3 weeks on there just by rotating it. And the rubber actually holds onto the wire. You don't have to grip it very much, and which makes it a lot easier on your wrist, you know, when you're fishing. So our shank is we used to use like maybe 90 or 100 pound test stainless steel, a 7-strand line, but they'd only last a week or so, because as soon as you break one strand on there, the line will separate and you'll lose all your baits, because you don't want to do that. But anyway, we use a 150 pound test. It's downrigger wire, that's what it is, and we had plenty to use when we were fishing up at, you know, Manistee and that, so we had plenty of wire to make, you know, with the shanks. And we used big game 20 pound test green line is what for our leaders on. All our snaps are, this snap here has bearings on it to keep the case your line starts spinning. You know, they'll spin out, they don't spin too bad, but on our snaps on this end, here's a dead snap. No bearings there, there. And it's more that, and you use a round nose snap so the bait can work more. It'll work better in the water. You'll wiggle more like it's supposed to do it. So, and our sticks are different ones. Our grandfathers and they used to make these. I don't know if they make them anymore. Probably I doubt it. They don't like that. But a lot of guys use this to put their lines on their the lines, you know, for trolling. You put the different size. Our sticks will have either the 30 to 15 or 5 on them like that. But then the main stick that we use, all our leads are all set on here. The 30, the 15, and the 5 are all set up. So you just take your lines off, put your baits on, and then just run them out. And we have them on the stick so that the snap is first, so we can put the bait on and put it out and then hook it up to our shank so we're done ready to fish, unless there's a lot of weeds in it.
Richard.
Well, yeah, I know. I do. But anyway, and this stick here is, it's probably been in our boat, I'd say since, what, the 50s? It's a pretty old stick, but everything is so smooth on it. And our sinkers are, the ones we use are anywhere from, like I say, from 8 ounces all the way up there. And our biggest ones that we have is maybe 1 3/4 pounds. That's the heaviest we go in the St. Clair River. And you'll have to have them up there. Some guys use 2 pounds up there, but that's a lot of weight to be hanging around for 10 hours at night. But most of the baits we use are mostly, well, now that we go out right now, we'll have 4 particular baits that we use all the time. We'll start up with rapalas, use rabble rousers, 2 hook pencil plugs, and then spoons. So, because the spoons you use in when the water temperature gets up in Detroit River or any places to fish at 40 degrees, that's where you can put the spoons in because the fish become more active and they'll chase the spoons and they'll bite better on them too. And they're easy. You run a single hook, number single hook salmon hook on there, and we don't use too many treble hooks on there because you can. A lot of fish you won't have to net. Most of them will hook up and then hook up really deep in there, and you can just throw them in the boat without netting. And you know it's pretty hard to take the trebles out of the nets most of the time. So, but I got a few things over here on my list. We used to hand out a lot of these here, and we have all our years start usually at St. Patrick's Day, the 17th is when we usually launch our boats, you know, if there's ice or no ice. But anywhere we'll start down, we chase the walleyes in the spring. When the walleyes come on from Lake Erie, we'll be down in Amherstburg. The fish will be coming into Amherstburg and fishing there. And as soon as the water warms up a little bit more, 40 to 50 degrees, they'll move up the river. So we'll move up the river with us. And then, well, most of the time, I would say July and August, we're already fishing the South Channel, which we'll probably fish there for the rest of the year. So anyway, but there's all these. There's so many places you can fish. There are so many spots that we've been fishing. You know, we've been fishing, you know, since I was been fishing since 10 years old. But you learn all these spots when you first come in the river, the Detroit River. You got the Trenton Channel, the Amherstburg Channel, the Livingston Channel, the Fighting Island, then you're up to the Ambassador Bridge, then you go to Hiram Walker, you fish the Cow Passers, you fish Peach Island, the Sturgeon Hole, then you're up at Delphine, or Garwoods. I don't know if a lot of people know where Garwoods is at, but it's on the American side by Alta Road, that's where Garwoods is at. And like I say, well, then the next thing is, if the water starts warming up more, we'll be start heading up the St. Clair River fishing there, which is probably, let's see, down there. That's usually in May. We're right up there. There's a lot of places to fish there in the whole length of the St. Clair River. Well, some of the fish are coming in from Lake Huron. Some of the fish are coming from. There's a river that comes in from the Canadian side, and you'll find out when the fish are there, the Indians will be over there chugging, and you can just stay around over them because you know the fish are over there. But you can fish Algonac, Russell Island, Fauna Island, Detroit River, the Detroit, the Edison plant, and the Lambton plant, which is not there anymore. The 54 can is a really good spot to fish there, you know, in May and June, when they have the derbies there, the Marble Eye and that. The Pilot House, I think they're still there. And then in August and September, we'll be maybe fishing there, but we'll be heading back down to the South Channel, start fishing after the rest of the year. But, matter of fact, I even got down here. We used to do the surveys for the DNR too. We used to bring the fish up, take scale samples, weigh them, measure them, put them in the back, and like that. And that was back in 2000. We did that from 2090 to 2007, and we had a total of 20,000 walleyes we already went through in those years, which was really fun. We'll average anywhere from 800 to 1,000 fish a year, which we ain't doing now because we're too old for that stuff right now. That's what I got up here. The art of handlining is we learned it from not too much from our uncles and our grandfathers and that, but I was really hooked when I was 10 years old. I was fishing in my uncle's skiff, and grandfather's one side, my uncle's on the other side. I'm in the center. They got a strap around me with a rope on it. I'm standing back on the line. So we started fishing, and Grandpa and Uncle says, pick out what lure you wanted. We use a wobbler. It's just a little grommet head with a hook on it. You just put a big emerald shiner on it. That's all you use. And so I put it on there, and it looks, you're not going to take that color, are you? That's purple with a yellow head. I said, well, that's all right, Grandpa. So I put it on. So they used to, in the river, they would troll right next to the freighters, because a lot of times the walleyes would be sitting under the freighters like that. So I'm sitting over there, and I said, Grandpa, I'm hung up. No, he says, bring that fish in. Well, it was a 10-pound walleye. So I was hooked. So we made another pass, went around, and says, Grandpa, I think it's a fish again. Well, it was another 9-pound walleye. So I was really hooked in. So anyway, that's where I started fishing, hand lining. And Joanne and I got together, and Joanne and I have been there ever since. So, but anyway, when you're hand lining over there, you know, a lot of guys use electronics and stuff. We never used electronics back there, but when you're hand lining with a sinker in your hand, you go into area, you're going to learn the area very quick. Where all the snags are at, and where the drop-offs are going to come, and where the holes are going to be at. So, let's see, a lot of guys, some guys we see over there, they're going like this all the time, like that. You're just pulling the hooks away from the fish line. You come in and grab it, and you're pulling away from them, and he's just going to throw them away. All you got to do is feel that sinker tip. And most of the areas we know what's going on, and we know what's going to be dropping off. But lately we've had our electronics, our hummingbird like that. But we just look for the fish down there. But and you know, that fish, you could easily set the strike, you know, on the fish when they come like that. Most of these baits on these things are these dimensions that we had up there. All these baits right now are running in the kill zone, we call it, the strike zone, and they'll be fishing. And most of the walleyes are right from there, 3 foot to the bottom like that. And all these baits are constantly in there all the time. And we figured that out to run the 5s, 15s, and incorporate it so we can just turn the shank around and run it either way we want it to run. So. And some guys, when we go out in Lake St. Clair, we fish, and there's a lot of weed beds out there to fish. And most of the time, if you know what the weed beds are, if you look at your electronics, you can see how high they are. We'll put extensions on the end of our thing like that and run all our baits up. And when you go through these weed beds, when that sinker goes through there, and that walleye sitting in there, when that sinker comes out, he'll zip up out of there and turn up. Whoa, there's a bait. I'm going to grab it. So that's how we fool some of the ones out there in the weed beds. And that's a pretty good trick to do there. So, and another thing, when we're in the rivers, when there's a lot of boats in the spring, which there is in Short River, a lot of boats, but when we're hand lining, we'll be off someplace, you know, where there's no boats like that, but you know, we're still marking some fish. We'll troll through the fish, and then when you run stop right, you're either out of the school. So what we do, we don't turn around and go back and go to, because you can catch fish going backwards, but it's a lot quicker to catch the fish going into the current or 45 and either way off the currents, or make it a banana, we call it. You make an arc like this. And a lot of the fish, if he's sitting right there, because maybe that bait is so, he'll just suck it in when you go by. But we don't run back. We put our lines down on the floor and we jig back through them fish and save time that way there. And we get back through there, when we get to the end, and we turn around, put the rod down, and then we'll hand line back through there. Then when all the bites stop, we figure we got to eat all the fish or the fish will move. So that's another little thing we do, besides, you know, the hand lining part. But the speed control is so important when you're hand lining. In the spring of the year, when that water is like, you know, from 38 to about 42 degrees, you cannot go fast. Them fish are very sluggish. They don't now move in that cold water, and if a lot of those big females are sitting there, they're not going to chase off because they're carrying all this extra weight. And that's why on our Rapalas we tip them with minnows. And when you tip that there with the minnows like that, that bait comes by so slow, and that walleye come out, you can feel him grab the thing so fast like that, and he'll grab it, hit it so hard, so like that, you'll go forward. You think you missed them, but all of a sudden the weight will pick back on. And most of the time they'd be on the treble hook on the end of the Rapala, because you inhale that big emerald shiner. The bigger the shiner, a lot of the shiners we try to get the same size as a number 7 or a number 9 Rapala. So, yeah. And like I say, the speed is now, this time of the year when the water's really warm, you gotta go faster. Especially at night, you have to go faster. Those fish are in there, there are areas to eat like that, and they'll really dart out and they'll chase the bait and grab it. You get a lot of, another secret when you're fishing bars in the river, and then, you know, the big drop-offs and stuff, like, you know, be at Stag Island. When you're in there shallow, you know, trolling into 7 and 8 feet of water, we'll say, Joanne will say, I'll go down, you stay up. When we go off the bank into 20, 30 feet of water, she'll go down, or I'll stay up on the top, and when you get out, you make the circle and go back, that walleye's falling all the way out there, and he'll hit that lure out there in 20 and 30 feet of water. And going back in, that's another little secret to fishing. So, but that works very good in the rivers where they have big drop-offs. Some people use snubbers. We don't use snubbers. A lot of people, they say when you get a big fish on, he's going to either bend something or he's going to break off because he's pounding so hard like that. But we never do. When we get a big fish on, I'll cut the motor back down and we'll almost go steady. Let him do all the pounding until you're done, and then you can pull that fish in after he's done, you know, doing what he wants to do. But let's see what else we got to talk about here. Our reels, we use nothing but shaded reels. We've been using them for years and years. As a matter of fact, I brought one today. This reel here, and this is the old one. This one, I don't know where it came from. We got it, it has, this was repaired. I repaired this because I was a toolmaker, and I repaired this by shaving it off here, put this clamp on here. This gloss on here says 1926. That's when this reel was made. So most of the shinglers now they're made by Sunshine. They used to make, I don't know if they probably still do make them yet. They don't make them anymore yet. Well, these here, this is how we hook it up. We have the rails there, we slide this block in there, and that has an angle iron. You slide it in here and you're ready to go fishing. Because a lot of times we go in and out like that, we don't have anything, we don't show anything in the boat when we go in and out.
Yeah, they just put it in.
There you go, slides right in there, and you just take it right off, and everything when you come in, everything off the boat, you hit away in the drawers where they belong. But otherwise, let's see if we got anything else. No, it's so anyway, yeah, just, in case you guys don't have any spare reels and you go out there. Joanne is the art with this rod. We put the same shank on this rod that we do on these over there, and she'll outfish me like this, and we can go up to even a pound and a quarter, but she uses mostly 1 pound sinker, and we're fishing 30, 40 feet of water. But in case you break a reel, you don't have anything, just get your